What do you strive for? We all either have a goal we're constantly chasing or are simply existing, following a script either handed to us or sloppily written. For those with something to strive for, if you can't reach it, you might tell others how close you are years from now with a hint of melancholy in your voice. But for those that reach their goal, you have to wonder, what does their world look like? Today we're going to be talking of a man who at a young age took the shogi world by storm and continues to be an almost untouchable figure that leaves other people desperate to chase even a shadow of him. Like a never-ending snowstorm, Touji Souya seems like a force of nature, but within the eye of the storm, despite how it may rage and roar on its fringes, its heart is silent, and so too is Souya's world. Souya is the Meijin within the world of March Comes In Like a Lion. In other words, he's the strongest. Having captured all 7 titles, not only was he the youngest person to ever be given the title Meijin, he is undoubtedly shown to be at the precipice of shogi within the story. The thing that piques my interest isn't his strength, but rather his desire for connection. As he continues to defeat others, more people attempt to rise to the occasion, and in turn, this cycle continues throughout the story. Shimada, Dobashi, even Rei Kiriyama, each player seeks to dethrone Souya. One who has chased him since they were kids, one who has chased him carrying his small town upon his shoulders, and lastly, one who has only ever known his reign. They all carry their own reasons for wanting to defeat him. However, we must also think, what is it that Souya is waiting for? In his match with Nikaido, we see the excitement spill from his eyes, and similarly in his match with Rei, we see his quiet guiding gaze as he almost mentors him throughout the match. Souya truly loves shogi, and as he plays, we see his care not only be confined to the game, but to the opponent who sits before him. In his match with Dobashi, he removes a bug from the room during their match because he realizes that it is affecting his opponent. Souya wishes for others to be able to reach him. If that means his defeat, then so be it. He wishes to be a challenger again. I also wonder if he wishes to remember what it was like to be utterly stumped at a move with no path forward. In the pursuit of our goals, it's easy to see it as something that has an end. Being the best in a given field, receiving recognition or awards for work done, even just through others' acknowledgements, we can be satisfied enough to say we achieved what we set out to do. However, I think through thinking like that, you might just be limiting yourself to only seeking satisfaction in your goal through completion. It's great to strive, to be the best, but does the road that leads to that truly ever end? In wishing for an end, aren't you deciding a line before you're even halfway there? And by the time you reach it, a thought might hit you. This is really it. What comes after that? Others see Souya as a finish line for shogi. Beat him and take the title Meijin and you'll be the king of the world. What of Souya then? If he's at the finish line, does that mean he's just stagnating, sitting there and waiting for some other challenger to come his way? In his match with Dobashi, he ends up outright saying that shogi still has plenty of depth that hasn't been explored. Rather than a finish line, Souya simply sees himself as the person furthest ahead on the path, and every time he looks back, he can't help but smile at the others who are drawn closer. Shimada tells Rei that despite Souya's status, he still never grows arrogant, that he still seeks to grow, which makes Shimada ultimately feel like the distance between him and Souya will never truly close. But in the end, he says that he won't let that be an excuse to not try. To some people, Souya is an enigma, a machine built for shogi and has nothing but shogi, an insurmountable wall that smiles cruelly as he defeats you. And to others, he represents the peak of the mountain that they're all trying to climb, a quiet motivation knowing that there's more to go. To Souya, his world is simply a silent hilltop awaiting the next climber, but sadly, there's only ever really enough space for one at the top. But still, Souya holds on to his smile, waiting for the next person who'll attempt to sit by his side. I've made a video talking about Kiriyama shogi being for survival, but despite the contrast in narrative between him and Souya, especially in their design, black and white, we never quite get told why Souya is playing shogi. There's never a grand declaration or even an origin story for why he's so fixated on the game. If we take the contrast in Souya's design in mind and compare him to Kiriyama, we can perhaps say that Kiriyama, who uses shogi to survive, maybe then Souya lives for shogi. One of the first things stated about Souya was the fact that it seems like he hasn't ever aged since his teenage years, as if he's frozen in time ever since he started his ascent. And for Kiriyama, Souya is a point of comparison, Since they debuted at the same age and all other people who've gone pro in middle school became Meijin, people expect him to eventually reach the same height. So for Kiriyama to survive in the world of shogi, he must meet other people's expectation of him, lest he be thrown away. For Souya, there seems to be no point of comparison. His presence so dominating, his achievements and accolades so overwhelming that others can't help but believe he's simply a demon to the game, a boogeyman you occasionally see at tournaments. He's someone with all the answers of what it's like to pass the finish line, as if he were the god of shogi. These statements all seem to point to the fact that he's simply not even a person, that his life and being are both tightly woven together with shogi, not as a mean for survival, but as a point of existence. It's easier on your ego to view the top as unreachable, or even nigh unreachable. If only Souya wasn't the champ, I'd have a shot. He's simply a god of shogi, not even human any longer. Everything we know of Souya is from other people's colored perspectives on him. I doubt we'll ever really get to know who he truly is until someone else reaches his level. Professional play in shogi is often demonstrated visually as a storm for most players. Winning matches, losing matches, ranking up, ranking down. These things are constantly on the minds of players, and so it can feel like you're perilously entering into a storm that you have no way through. Only as you get better does the storm begin to lessen its impact upon your body, but as you potentially maybe get into a slump, you can be endlessly buffered by the storm, even potentially ousted by it. I feel like it's very beautiful that the strongest character within this series is someone who is described to be this silence, right? Like the eye of the storm. That within his presence, it feels as if all sound goes away. Because it goes well with that visual motif of storms. That obviously the one who could reach the center would be within a moment of silence. And you can look at it two ways. That from the perspective of Souya, that he's at the center of the storm, still traveling, trudging through, but is awaiting these challengers as he's going on his way. And that's why he experiences that silence. But you could also see it to the other extreme, to where the reason why Kiriyama describes the world being so silent when he's with Souya could be that he, like others, have created the mindset that Souya has already reached the finish line of shogi. And so from that, he's not even within the storm. Us who are like constantly fighting against it, he's so well beyond it, and that's why his world is so silent. Souya is often also shown to be somebody who only has really shogi. His life is consumed by the study of it, and outside of promotional events and playing shogi, he's at home, doing practice matches with Dabashi or simply researching match sheets, moves, or previous games. Quite literally, this man has nothing outside of shogi. And it's interesting because we see that throughout the story as Kiriyama begins to grow. We even see through his last game in the manga with Nikaido, that he has a fear, like Nikaido has this fear that his rival, his eternal rival, will begin to feel content in life and have something beyond shogi. He'll lose his desperation, his edge, and when that happens, he'll no longer have a rival. And obviously from the fact that Kiriyama ends up winning, that isn't the case, but it's a very real fear that Kiriyama's survival mode is what pushes him to be so great at the game. He's not talented, he's just an extremely hard worker. There's an interesting point of conversation too when the practice match happens between Kiriyama and Souya. Souya says that you could tell from Kiriyama's game that he's deeply studied, right? That he can see the efforts born. He doesn't say that, oh, he's talented like me when he was young. He says specifically, he's deeply studied, I could tell he's studied a lot. Acknowledging in that moment the hard work that Kiriyama has had up until this point. Knowing that Kiriyama throughout the story is slowly filling his life up with happiness with the people that he loves, and that shogi isn't the end-all be-all for his own self-worth and happiness. It's very interesting that his endgame opponent, most likely at the end of this series, will be a person whose life is entirely tied to shogi. And we know that Souya obviously cares for his grandmother. I'm not saying he has no attachments outside of shogi, right? But his entire focus is shogi. Aside from what we know, he doesn't really have a personal life or activities that he does, or even really friends outside of Dabashi, right? And you can kind of create the juxtaposition between Dabashi and Souya's relationship to Nikaido and Kiriyama's relationship, even though not much has been shown between the two in terms of like proper bantering, right? So you can't draw too many lines, but there's enough there to work with like a parallel being pushed there. I think mainly Souya is going to be ultimately the obstacle that shows Kiriyama that he should be pursuing shogi if it makes him happy, if it actually gives him joy to have the community that shogi has given him and explore the game as deeply as he can. It can no longer just be this survival punishment almost upon himself. And I think he's escaped that mindset, but recently, especially in the manga with him, obviously having other people be jealous towards his victory over Shimada and saying that he only won due to finger luck, it does put the pressure that he's still, in a way, only competing in shogi for the admiration of others, or in a way for, recognition, what may you. He's not doing it for the self, he's doing it for the other, right? Souya, from all that we know, is, that's just him. He's just got that dog. Really, he truly does have that dog. That's the best way you can put it. I think it's beautiful if you can continually strive for a goal and enjoy the process of striving for it. It's poetic in a way, right? The endless endurance to continue to chase after what it is you desire. It is a super admirable trait to have. I just hope that people can really begin to focus on the journey. It's cliche, it's corny, blah blah blah, I get it. But really, enjoy every step, enjoy every jog, every run, just enjoy being in the storm.